saw its lowest numbers. Brandon Scott in Baltimore, though his Ravens lost last week to the Steelers, historic lows there. Andre Dickens in Atlanta, Randall Woodfin in Birmingham, Justin Bibb in Cleveland. You're seeing Cavalier Johnson just to the north of us in Milwaukee, Barbara Lee, of course, in Oakland, of course, Los Angeles, our dear sister Mayor Bass. You've seen Black leadership really focus in on economic and community development. Of course, we're not perfect. We make our mistakes. I don't wake up every single day without, thinking how I can strive towards perfection and recognizing that we are still human. But we've also seen how in Chicago, we're on pace to build 10,000 affordable homes. Andre Dickens, I believe he hit almost 13,000 in Atlanta. And this is hard work, right? But this is also dealing with years of historic disinvestment. It takes time to be able to shift, the mentality of a city. And we've done that in short order here, right? I mean, there were people who were concerned that we wouldn't drive violence down. In fact, I believe I was at the City Club a year ago, and I believe you were there when I made that pronouncement. Like, look, we have to be bold and audacious.
The talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 AM WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
It's the afternoon show with Atiba Buchanan and LaDonna Ray.
Congressman Jonathan Jackson on the line.
I saw a meme that said America will come and get you. When it's about the oil, they bombed in Iran, they've got oil. They bombed in Iraq, they've got oil. They bombed in Libya, they've got oil. And now they bombed in Venezuela, they've got oil. And they even came after Diddy because he had oil.
Come on, Congressman.
What a great setup.
That was good. That was good.
It's the afternoon show with Atiba Buchanan and LaDonna Ray. Weekdays at 3 p.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Catch Reverend Al Sharpton online at WVON.com or on the WVON app. Just click the Al Sharpton banner. Tune in every day at 12 noon for your daily dose. And if you miss it, catch the overnight replay from midnight to 3 a.m. We're keeping it real with Al Sharpton on WVON 1690.
Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
This is your host and life coach, Linnell Harris, and I want you to join me every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. for Inspirational Perspective. On Inspirational Perspective, we talk life vision, life purpose, and the show is all about helping you live the best life possible. So join me as we look at supporting you in living the life you intend to live and making your life's vision a reality. Every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 a.m. WVON.
It's Tio Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman on Chicago's essential storyteller, WVON.
They call him Mr. Ceasefire. They call him Mr. Ceasefire. Stopping shootings and killings almost every day. Trying to make a better way. They call him Mr. Ceasefire. Mr. Ceasefire. He's a man.
All right. Here we go, my people. The one and only Tio Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman here in the house, right here in the WVON studio. It's an honor to be here this morning based on the fact there's so much going on in the world out here that we want to do our best to provide good information to the universe, in other words, right? And I want to say this as well, that it's tough out here sometimes, man. It's really tough out here. People struggling all over the place. So we want to pray for the entire world. We want to pray for the United States. We want to pray for all the countries that might be embroiled in this here war that's going on, all the working class people and everybody in the universe that's struggling, right? We want to send prayers out there. Now, I want everybody that's listening, you can go to Amazon and you can purchase a copy of my book, Interrupting Gun Violence, The Public Health Approach. The book is available on Amazon. Check out your main man, Tio Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman. And then I have a second book on Amazon titled Death of an Addict, Resurrection of a Man. I want you to check both of my books out on Amazon whenever you have an opportunity. And you can also visit my website at violenceinterrupters.org, violenceinterrupters.org. Check me out with everything that we're doing out here on the website. We organize peace circles throughout the city on a regular basis. We're working with over 100 young men and a few young ladies as well here in Chicagoland as of today. And we're doing our best to prevent violence on the front end. That's what it's all about, right? So with that being said, if you have a problem with your car, check out my man Bob at Bob's Midas right over there on 74th and Stony Island. Bob's Midas store right there. They do fantastic work on your car if you have an issue there. My organization is one of the sponsors as well, violenceinterrupters.org. Check me out, right? And then we have also, if you need some nice clothes, men's clothes, check out Edwards Fashions over in the Roseland community on 114th in Michigan. That's why I want you to check them out on a regular basis as well already. So here we go. So before I get started, I just want to send a shout out also to all of the people in the violence prevention arena, the CVI workers. We call them the violence interrupters and community violence intervention type of workers statewide, nationwide, on an international level, because we're working everywhere. God has blessed us to really get down and take care of our business. And this weekend, I've worked on doing some kind of facilitating some trainings of violence interrupters here in the state of Illinois, right? So let's get right down to the subject matter this morning. I plan to talk about today what's going on with the gun violence in Chicago, along with what's going on in Iran. So if you want to call in and let's have a conversation a little bit about the teen, you got the teen trends or whatever the case may be, what more can be done to deal with the teen trends. I'm a Chicagoan. I've been in Chicago all my life. I'm really, really concerned about what's happening in downtown Chicago. I noticed there's a real issue. A lot of businesses are out of business in Chicago. The south part of downtown, from Madison going all the way back to Roosevelt, it's really tough, man. So we're dealing with some real tough economic times, and not just downtown. We're talking about other areas in the city of Chicago that have never ever had an opportunity to kind of rebuild, in some of these areas that it's a whole lot, it's a lot of words you can use, but we have issues, man. We have real issues, and I'm not blaming anybody either. I'm not here to blame and point fingers, because some of the issues have been around way before the current administration. I'm talking about the abandoned buildings all down 79th Street, west side of Chicago. So when you call in this morning, let's just have a real heartfelt discussion about what can we do to make Chicago better. Let's talk about that. I noticed Alderman, I think his name William Hall over there on the south side of 75th Street. They organized like a real big event for people to come out and support the businesses over there on 75th Street. And I really liked what I saw there. So let me bring on my first guest here, speaker. Yeah. Good morning, Marvin. Hello? Good morning. Marvin.
Good morning.
You're on the air. What's going on with you?
What's going on, my dear brother?
Okay. So you calling in?
Yeah. I was calling in to talk a little bit about the state of Illinois' reparations efforts.
Okay, that's
as
fine.
a means to both
today
stop the violence.
Now go ahead. You want to try to tie it into dealing with the violence, Marvin?
Yes, indeed.
Are you representing an organization?
I am the chairman of the Illinois Reparations Commission.
Oh, good. No problem. Okay, I got you covered, Martin. I want to thank you for coming on. So no problem. Let's go for it. Let's talk about it. I want to tie it into the gun violence and everything. And we need an update because I'm really concerned about reparations. So I'll turn it over to you, Marvin, before I take some more calls. And let's go for it. Okay.
Of course. Well, we understand that from one of our recently released reports in February of this year, that Black Illinoisans make up over 60% of the incarcerated population. We're over-policed and under-resourced. So the state of Illinois has made a commitment to try to make sure that we have more equitable, not just opportunities, but outcomes. That obviously and apparently will trickle down to our children. We understand that when Black families struggle financially, that has very negative impacts on the kids. If a Black family is struggling with homelessness or food insecurity, it makes their children 3 times more likely to fail out of school.
Okay.
So, you have these types of statistics that tell us that all of our problems, the core of them are economic. And if we can solve the economic piece, it'll also help with the culture piece, because then you'll have more present parents. And in our report, taking account a history of racial harm and injustice against Black Illinoisans, we talk about all of the issues that contribute to some of the disparities and some of the actions that we see both our youth and our adults taking today.
Well, let me ask you this here, Marvin. So I'm grateful to have you on the show. Let me say that. And so let's get into it right here. What kind of progress have we made with maybe securing reparations here in the state of Illinois? Because, I'm more like a revolutionary spirited type of individual, Marvin, and I truly believe that there needs to be a mass movement in order for African-American people, foundational African-American people, to secure reparations. Then you have another part of it where now I noticed, I've been watching I've been listening to the news, watching some of these interviews out here where they're trying to include people from Africa into the reparations discussion in the United States. And some foundational Black Americans have an issue with that. And so can you kind of clear that up? Number one, what kind of progress are we making? That's number one. And then the foundation, I'm talking about African-American people that are descendants of people that were forced into chattel slavery in the United States. I'm not talking about over in Africa right now. So educate our people as it relates to that, Marvin, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I mean, our bill language is very, very specific. It says that we're specifically supposed to be looking to address repair for those individuals that are American descendants of chattel slavery.
Exactly.
That's specific. We've made significant progress. So anybody who's anybody in the reparations space understands that any recommendations that we make are going to be challenged.
Okay.
And to be able to withstand that challenge on the front end, you need something called a harm report. You need a report that you can draw back your recommendations to say it's justified, the harm is justified, it's proven, so that when it does get challenged constitutionally, we can meet strict scrutiny. Now we have that report. We're in the process right now of compiling all of our recommendations. We're going to put out a survey to the community to allow the community to see the recommendations that we have, to be able to rank those recommendations. And then we're going right back to the state legislature and to the governor and saying, this is what the community is demanding.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Now, is there like a price tag in your mind? I'm just saying a hypothetical price tag for people in Illinois, foundational African-Americans in Illinois, when it comes to reparations. They're like a range. And I'm not just talking about the finance. I understand some people say, well, everybody's talking about the finances of it. I know there's other areas of reparations as well, right? But is there like a price tag that we can float out there that would take care of foundational Black people in Illinois?
That's something that we're still working on developing, because the way that we're looking at the issue of reparations, we're going to take it issue by issue. So, for instance, if you're a descendant of an individual who was lynched or experienced any type of mob violence, racial terror between the years of 1865 and 1924 in the state of Illinois, there was a thing passed in 1905 called the Mob Act of Illinois.
I'm familiar, yes.
Anybody who experienced that type of violence would receive $5,000 in compensation. Well, the equivalent of $5,000 in compensation is about $185,000 today.
Okay.
So, for instance, if you trace yourself back and you have a descendant, and you're a descendant of an individual that experienced that type of terror, then you will be qualified for that payment. So we're trying to utilize the laws that Illinois has on the books that they did not enforce on behalf of Black Americans that descend from U.S. chattel slavery.
Okay.
To actually get the repair that's necessary.
Cool. So let me ask this question too: are we holding accountable some of the businesses and corporations in Illinois, in particular, that benefited from the transatlantic slave trade, Brother Marvin?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the idea of reparations, if you make reparations that are tax free for Black Americans, by and large, the brunt then falls on who? The businesses and individuals who benefited most from slavery. So, I mean, I think when you say, are we going to target specifically these businesses and corporations? I think it's double dipping a little bit. So, as of now, yes, we do have some incentives for those businesses to be able to do things like contribute to a reparative fund, to be able to analyze their history with relationship to slavery. And further information may come from there, but as of now, we're holding that the federal government and the state government are culpable parties, because the federal government is who enabled the idea of chattel slavery, and the state governments who had state autonomy decided to continue that proliferation. So those are the two accountable parties.
No, because I go kind of deep, and like I said, we're going to do the intersection with gun violence in Chicago. We're going to talk a little bit about what's happening in Iran, as well as we also keep this reparations conversation going on. So you mentioned, do you truly, I know you mentioned early on that when we talk about the violence that's going on, especially in Chicago and throughout Illinois, I work in the field of violence prevention, and a lot of the groups out there, we're doing the best we can do to help prevent gun violence, but you believe that reparations in some capacity would be able to help educate some of the young brothers out there involved in the gun violence lifestyle. And you believe reparations can help heal that process, possibly, if we were to secure reparations?
I think it contribute. It can contribute. I mean, if you think about all the areas that we've been harmed in, if you think about health and healthcare, public aid, education, incarceration, and police violence, housing, education, jobs in the economy, physical or criminal crime, like we've been harmed in so many different areas that if you even begin to repair some of those areas, it's gonna have a positive impact.
Okay.
So when you provide a level of economic resource to individuals, it makes their decision making different.
Okay.
Right. So now, if I actually have something that's worth losing, I'm now afraid to lose it. So if I have money, I don't want to, get caught up in something that might make me lose it. If I have a stable home, if I have a good paying job, if you have these things, and you have the tax credits that allow you to take advantage of them and kind of move up a rung in the economic system here in Illinois and in the U.S., then it changes your decision making a little bit.
Right on.
Whereas a lot of young people, specifically our young brothers, they feel hopeless.
That makes sense to me. Now, I appreciate the way you're talking now, Marvin, because when you have a lot of people that feel they're hopeless, there's a lot of despair in the community. It's incumbent upon African-American leaders, just leadership in general, to kind of help bring people up. We should not take advantage of the weak, without a doubt. We need to, education is important. A strong family foundation is very important. Then we need an economic revival here in Chicago. So, you're the state director. Now, who backs the work that you're doing? Are you like an employee of the state, or it's independent, like far as the reparations movement that you're involved in?
Yeah, so I am a unpaid volunteer that was appointed by Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Okay.
And elected by my peers to chair this commission. It is an official state commission. We're housed under Central Management Services, but we have a direct charge from the governor of Illinois.
Got it. That's good. I appreciate that information. But like I say, because the views on this show are not the views of WVON, but I'm more of a revolutionary-minded brother Marvin when it comes to reparations. Because I would like, my thing is, okay, let me play the devil's advocate for a minute, like in a positive way. And then I'll take all the calls. We got quite a few callers calling this morning. Why do you think we haven't secured reparations as of yet, Brother Marvin, based on your experience?
It's a great question.
That's right.
I think that one thing about politics is that it's like any system of power. If I feel that I can wait out the individuals that are asking me to move, even if it's for a just reason, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do just that.
Okay.
And America has waited out Black Americans, and the voices that support reparations and that have been demanding reparations have gotten quieter and quieter.
Okay.
Now we see other issues kind of taking the same spotlight that reparations should have taken, because this should be priority number one for the Black American community, because it touches all the other issues
I agree.
individuals like to talk about. So if you get that level of repair, you automatically see a decrease in the disparities that you see in things like education and maternal mortality and, COVID rates would have decreased if we had reparations. There's a study by Dr. William Darity that talks about how COVID rates would have actually been way less in the Black community had we had reparations. So, there are things that, that level of economic undergirding does that I believe white America understands.
Yes, indeed.
And they want to exclude us from. It's our job, though, to be loud about our advocacy. You don't get a vote from me unless this is a part of your platform.
It has to be part of
the platform. You have 90% of Black voters. Exactly. If you have 90% of Black voters who are voting Democrat, and there are Democrats who aren't serious about tangible reparations, not just the idea or study for reparations, then we have an issue.
Yeah, because what I'm seeing now, that's a good point you just made. I think we've been pretty much distracted as African American people with issues such as the gun violence, which we should pay attention to. We've been distracted with poor, what you might say, structural racism has really impeded some of our progress here in the United States as African American people, right? So there's a lot of work to be done in that arena. So another question. Is reparations just a money factor for African American people, foundational Black people? I want to put out there, Marvin. And from your perspective, is it really just about compensation? What are some of the other areas of reparations that you think would be good for our people? But the first question, is it all just about the money?
The way that I usually answer this question is that reparations without some type of equity building, some type of capital injection, ain't reparations.
Yeah.
It's an equity program. So, there are individuals and critics of the movement that like to say, well, you all just want to check.
Right.
Partially, yes. I mean, because unpaid labor, unpaid wages have this accrued effect. White individuals were able to accrue that wealth, and then they were able to pass it down. You don't see that for Black folks because we were never at a starting point to be able to accrue wealth until maybe 10 years ago.
Right on.
Years ago. Okay. So yes, it is a check, but it is also the systemic things that we can, make changes to, tax credits specifically for Black folks to help them build a wealth level that should be appropriate for individuals that have been in this country longer than anybody else.
Right on.
Right. Housing, the individuals don't necessarily have to foot the bill for, considering that we aren't the ones that are, by and large, manipulating the housing market.
Now,
so you want to provide an equitable level of both access and opportunity, but also we want to try to equalize these outcomes a bit too, because opportunity and access does not equal success, and we want to make sure that our people are successful. So we're going to create some of these systems and infrastructures to be able to allow for that success.
All right, good information. Let me take some of these callers then and have a conversation with you. Andre.
Hey, good morning to you, Brother Tito. How you doing?
I'm doing real good. We have Brother Marvin on the line as a guest here this morning, talking about reparations on a higher level. We also taking on the topic of Iran, what's happening in Iran, Donald Trump and the gun violence that continues to take lives, here in Chicago and throughout the nation. So how you feeling, first of all, Brother Andre?
I'm feeling straight there, Tio. Thank you for asking, brother. I want to wish you a belated happy Easter to you. I missed you on Easter.
Yeah, I didn't come on Easter Sunday. I just took a break. That's right.
Yeah, I know you did, and you took a well-deserved break. So, look, I don't have anything additional to say for reparations because I done said it week after week. So I done said what I need to say about that.
Okay.
You said something earlier that I want to comment. I want to comment on this these teen takeovers.
Teen takeovers. And hold on, Andre Marvin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want you to, when Andre talks about the teen takeovers, I would like for you to also kind of chime in a little bit how reparations might, some type of resources from reparations might even help to kind of quell some of what's going on with the teen takeovers. That might be like shooting in the dark a little bit, but let's have a conversation about it. Go ahead, Brother Andre.
Okay, so we as black people, and particularly black men, we'll never make progress if we don't have no type of imagination. And our lack of imagination comes from fear of failure. So we can't imagine change. Now, this is what I say about the team takeovers.
Okay.
Tio, there's no reason why during the summer months, only during the summer months, why all the local parks can't be made to stay open until 11 o'clock on Friday night and Saturday night to give these teens someplace to hang out at. If you don't do that, they're going to go downtown. If you shut down downtown, they're going to find someplace. Teens are going to find someplace to hang out. So we got enough resources here in the city. You can man 2 police cars at every park district only during the summer months now on Friday, Saturday. And I guarantee you those kids are going to go to the park and hang out.
Okay.
If they need to, they can fence them parks in. But they can get some vendors over there to sell food and different things to attract their attention down there. See, but if we don't imagine change, then it'll never happen. I want to end with what Michelle Obama said. Michelle Obama was asked, aren't you afraid that Barack would get assassinated running for president, that he would get shot? And her answer was, no, I don't fear, because as a black man, he risks getting shot every day he steps out. So if she could feel that way, then what's wrong with us afraid to imagine a new city of Chicago? If you want to make Chicago better, you got to first make the people better. And you can start with those teens by not only having in-school programs about behavior, but let them parks stay open. Do you see any reason, Tio, why these parks can't stay open till 11 o'clock on Friday and Saturday night only during the summer months?
No, I believe the parks should stay open, but if you talk about, because I'm trying to mesh the two topics here this morning, bring them together, I think if we were to receive some resources in the reparations arena, we can then probably build some recreational centers, Andre, some 24-hour rec centers here on the west, south side, and east side, and the north side, where African-American young people can go to a 24-hour recreational center. I've actually put that out there. And Marvin, if we secure some funding through reparations, there's a chance we can open up them type of centers for young people, all right?
Well, in my opinion, Tio, I support reparations because I talk with you about it all the time. I'm a supporter of reparations. I even offered a scenario as how we could get reparation on behalf of the people that's entitled to it, right? But here's the thing. I don't believe in buying somebody's good behavior. It's like we grew up in school or whatever. You going to behave or not. Our parents didn't give us 50 cents if we went to school to behave good. I understand the reparations and we need resources and need after school program and stuff. But you got to address the issue of behavior. You're going to buy their behavior and say, I'm going to do this for you if you behave correctly? No, you got to behave. That's the way it was. You don't have to get beat, but you got to behave. I don't believe in buying their behavior. So we going to give them this, that, and other. What job can you give a kid at 11 o'clock at night that's going to make them go to work to stay out of trouble? Kids need. So, and last thing, I looked up about the natural behavior between African Americans and human beings. We have a natural desire to be wanderers. That's where we come from. Just think about in Africa, we wandered around freely. Where we went around freely, there was no restriction. So as a natural human being, we like to wander out and be around. We like to be outdoors. We like to interact with nature. So, man, look, let's have a push. Let's have a push to try to keep these parks open, and where the resources might come in with the reparations, with the build fences around all them parks. That's what you can do with some of the reparations, but build fences around all of them parks and had two police cars there during the summertime and let them kids go up there and stay up in them parks till 11 o'clock at night. Do the curfew, and then they can go and get on to the crib. If you don't do that, they're going to keep on doing all of this.
All right, Brother Andre, I appreciate your call.
We got to imagine a new Chicago, man. We can't be
doubt,
scared.
a new Chicago.
We got to have the guts like Michelle Obama. We got to imagine a new Chicago. We can't be stuck in the past time where we scared they're going to be shooting and whatnot. So what?
All right, bro. Appreciate your call, Brother Andre, always. Let me say this, Brother Marvin. What I'm looking at also here, now we have quite a few callers waiting to get on the line. I want to say that. So Marvin, when you talk about reparations, I'll put myself on the chopping block right now. I did my DNA, right? I'm 55% Nigerian, 7% Kenyan, and then I have some Eastern Western European in my blood as well. I'm just being honest. So how does that factor in when it comes to reparations? 'Cause I did trace my roots to a slave plantation down in Louisiana and in Georgia. So are you all looking at lineage as well, Marvin, when you talk about reparations?
That's the standard, is lineage. So our program is not race-based. which kind of defeats some of the talking points from conservatives regarding this being DEI and it being able to be challenged due to the Equal Protection Clause and violations on race. This is lineage based. So if you can trace yourself back to an individual who was enslaved, then yes, you're fine. You already traced yourself back to a plantation. We all gonna have African DNA. Okay. Every black person in the world is gonna have African DNA, so it's gonna trace you back. But we're looking for individuals that have that specific justice claim here in the United States of America.
Okay, got you. Good stuff. Let me get another call on here. Brother William, good morning to you.
Good morning, WVON family, and thank you for taking my call. I would like to talk about that reparation and the team gathering as well. To Brother Andre's point, I'm a 62-year-old man, and one day we decided, let's go to the Forest Preserve. And the Forest Preserve police officer pulled up on us and said, you have more than 25 people here, so you can't have this gathering, right? Mm-hmm. And it was just something that came up. So he's 100% correct. We have nowhere to go. The Forest Preserve closed at sunset, right? So you have to get out of there, even though you in there peacefully. And remember when we were saying no reparations, no black vote, we tried to make reparations on every one agenda, Republican, Democrat, Independent, right? But these people wouldn't do it. Even Kamala Harris said she wasn't doing nothing but black people alone. But yet,
let me say this, William. Now, Marvin, out of all due respect to the reparations process, my thing is I don't believe we're going to secure reparations. We're going to have to take reparations. People may not want to hear that. I'm just being straight up the way I view it, William and Marvin. And what I mean, I'm not saying do nothing violent. What I'm saying is that we have to organize by the millions. The same way we organize on different issues, we have to step up like never before if we really, really would like to secure reparations, because I believe that on behalf of foundational black folks that experienced, our forefathers experienced the transatlantic slave trade live and in color, it's going to be incumbent upon people to raise up in big numbers and then force the issue, so to speak. That's what I believe, William, and everybody else. And then I want to say this here, as an African-American man speaker here, we're not going to have no order in our community until we instill some discipline and some order, discipline. The thing about it, and I'm not saying step down on the young people and all that stuff. What I'm saying, our foundation is kind of falling apart, so to speak. A black family foundation has collapsed due to a lot of reasons. The failed war on drugs, and Marvin, that's a part of reparations as well. If we want to be technical about it, the failed war on drugs and the collapse of the black family is hurting us. Then you have the prison industrial complex. So this conversation can go a lot of ways, and I'll let you wrap up, William, for a minute and continue speaking. Then Marvin, I want to talk to you about what I just mentioned there. What's up, William?
Okay. So, Brother Marvin, if I'm not mistaken, Kennedy King College around 2 years had a reparation forum, and I think you all was there. And there was a lot of people from different groups that was pushing for reparations. And we tried to get everybody under one umbrella, and they wouldn't do it, right? So I'll just end with no reparations, no black vote.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's valid. No reparations, no black vote. The only thing about it is when individuals who are politicians say that they aren't going to push reparations, we still vote for them. So it's an empty threat. And to Brother Tio's point, yes, I believe millions should be organized. But I think I can make do in the state of Illinois if we had 100 concerned individuals who are descendants of U.S. child slave who could come and come down on politicians in Springfield every chance they got. We can move more with 100 than we could with 1 million.
Yes, and okay. I can take that. Sounds good. Like I say, by me having a revolutionary spirit, my thing is I'm looking at visions of thousands of people out here pushing the envelope, because now we cannot try to play down what happened to African people during the transatlantic slave trade. I'm talking about some of the most barbaric type of actions and atrocities that were committed against humanity. We cannot downplay it in no capacity. So other than just the free labor that was given out by our ancestors, I'm talking about the physical brutality. I'm talking about the mental brutality. Imagine, I said this before and I want to keep repeating it, but imagine a black woman giving birth to a child and that child is taken from you and you don't know where they send your child to another state or whatever. Imagine the anguish in the lady's mind. not knowing where a child is at, all right? That's just one part of the brutality, the mental brutality that took place on them slave plantations. Imagine a black woman at the age of 10 or 9, 10 years old being raped forever and ever and a day until she turns 50 or 60 years old, and now they just throw her to the curbside. So you got to look at what happened to the women. And then a lot of times the women were abused by the slave colonizers, and then they're thrown back to the brothers and all that. So brothers started looking down on the women to a degree, but black women still stood up and helped lead the charge for us in spite of what they had to endure. And I haven't even mentioned what happened to the black men yet. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't even just isolate it to black women, because black men were abused in very similar ways sexually.
Right, that's right.
In fact, if you take a look into the archives, you see that some of these white women who were the wives of slave owners would go vacation with their black men in the mountains for 3-4 months during the summer. And they would force those black men into lewd acts.
Oh, no doubt. I heard about it.
So yeah, you see it in both directions. You see a lack of respect due to the inability for the black man to protect his family unit, and you see a lack of respect for the black woman after she's been used and abused by white master as well. So
there you go. There you go. So William,
is a truly messed up situation.
All right. So William, I want to thank you for your call this morning. Okay.
Thank you, brother.
Always, bro. Without a doubt. Okay. All right, hanging there with me, brother Marvin. Let me get brother Lewis on the line now. Good morning, Lewis.
Good morning, Brother Tio, and good morning, Brother Marvin. Hey.
Good morning, my brother.
About reparations, we already have it. Two words. Opportunity zone. Have you ever heard of that? Opportunity
I've
zone?
heard of the word. Break it down to us, Lewis.
Okay, opportunity zone. What Brother Marvin is talking about. It says in this bill, it says, revitalize economically distressed areas. And that's what we have in our community. It's distressed areas. Okay, now, what's going on right now is in Chicago, there's about $15 billion worth of redevelopment and development of areas that we used to occupy. Okay, now the first one, I'm going to tell you, is called the redevelopment of LeClaire Courts. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a $350 million development that's going on, and then there's another one called 1901 Project.
Yeah, that's over there by the United Center. I've heard about it.
Okay, they redeveloping and developing the areas around the United, what is it? The
United Center, like the old Henry Horner Project area.
Right.
In the near West Side. Yeah.
Rockwell Gardens. They were around the United Center, you know.
Okay.
And that's a $7 billion project.
That's the area where I was raised in that area as well, Brother Lewis.
Right. And that's a $7 billion project. And all this is under what Donald Trump had, Tim Scott and Donald Trump had did in 2017. It's called opportunity zones, and what it does is it gives those credits that he's talking about, tax credits for investors to invest in those communities, and where they get their money back on is what they call unrealized gain. They front you to create and invest in your own community. That's what they're doing. Hello?
Okay. All right.
Okay. And so they got and so they got other okay, the way you can find out about Opportunity Zone is that you go to Chicago Opportunity Zone and a map will pop up. And in this
we'll take a look at it, Lewis.
All the areas that we are developing right now, but the problem is, are we participating in the development of it, and are we getting any gains from this development that's going on? Because it was created for us in our communities. You understand?
You know, I will push back about that against that a little bit, my dear brother, because the difference between opportunity zones and reparations is fundamental. They differ in purpose, targeting, mechanism, and the theory of change. The core purposes for an opportunity zone is to stimulate private investment in low-income geographic areas. Reparations is designed to repair a specific historical harm. Two different things. The targeting is different. Opportunity zones, they target places. The benefits go to investors. Reparations, you target people, and eligibility is based on the lineage of documented harms.
Okay.
Even the mechanism of delivery is a little bit different. There's tax incentives for opportunity zones. Yes, we create some tax incentives for reparations, but it's also very specific to the harm group.
Yeah, got it. So
okay, well, I'd like to push back on that. Okay, because what they creating is they creating housing, they creating commerce, they creating education, they creating medical and health, they creating park districts, entertainment, and all that is out there for us to take advantage of if we invest in our own self and let the government front us with those tax credits. That's how that works.
So, Lewis, I plan to take a look into opportunity zones and get some more information on it, right? But I understand what Marvin's talking about. Reparations is different from the opportunity zones, brother Lewis. All right, because right now we have to secure something for foundational Black people. When I say foundational Black people, I'm talking about people that can prove through their lineage that their ancestors was taken advantage of during the transatlantic slave trade. And then I want to apologize to my WVON listeners. And let me just say this is nothing major, though. The topic today was we was going to talk about the gun violence and Donald Trump, the war with Iran. But at the same time, I actually slipped and I forgot I asked Marvin to come on today because I was off last week. So just bear with me, my good people. That's the topic for today, talking about this reparations. Then we hit it a little bit about the violence, all right? Then next week we'll be right back on point. So you have a closing statement there? Okay, Lewis. Okay, Lewis is out of there right now. So Marvin, okay, before I take the next caller on, so what more can be done, right? What kind of support do you need, Marvin, to keep pushing this charge in Illinois?
Yeah, so number one, I need our people to equip themselves with knowledge. So we've released this report. We have a very easy to digest, about 13-page summary of our 300-page report.
Okay.
It's on our website at adcrc.illinois.gov. I need everybody to go to that website, subscribe, because we're also going to be releasing our survey on April 25th that are going to allow people to rank the policies that we have developed this far. And after we get those rankings, we're going to compile all that data and we're going to go down to Springfield and say, hey, we got 50,000 Black Americans that are saying
got it.
They demand these policies.
Yeah, you got to help me out, Marvin. Like I said, I'm more of like a push it right in your face type of guy, right? So I definitely understand the process because you're going to have naysayers. Now, here are some of the critics that you might receive. Some people say, why do we need another commission? Why do we need another study? We know what happened. Well, let me bring Pamela Denise on. Then we'll just hold that thought right there, Marvin, for a minute. Hold on. Pamela, good morning to you.
Greetings. Good morning. Good to hear the conversation that's happening. I have to agree with Mr. Slaughter in regard to the opportunity zones. I think you take the investment that you can find, but it doesn't mean that we equate one thing with another.
Okay, break that down, Pamela. What you mean equate one thing with another?
So just because you get, say, a $2,000, everybody in an area is open to get a $2,000 tax credit for children. That doesn't mean it's reparation. It means it's an investment for sure, but it's not reparation. So every money that comes in is not repair, and money that everyone has access to or anyone has access to is not repair. The point of repair is to fix the gap. It's to fix the harm, to fix the extraction that was taken. You don't turn away the investment, but you don't turn just any investment into reparation.
Got it. Understood.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Marvin. Furthermore, on that point, to my sister, my dear sister, when you think about the claim that Lewis is making is that Black people should be involved in that investment. Well, when you have $0 in net wealth for Black communities in Chicago, but what money are they going to participate in that investment opportunity with?
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not lineage based.
Give us exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, the opportunity zone should benefit the people who whose deprivation necessitated there being an opportunity zone there in the first place. So the way it's currently set up, and I've critiqued this for years now, is that people can move into the area and they benefit from, or largely benefit from, right? They are the chief beneficiaries from the opportunity zone. That doesn't fix the people who were harmed. So let's say Black folks were pushed out of an area, it got gentrified, and suddenly because it used to be a Black area, or it's currently an urban area, people benefit from it and claim that they're addressing historical harms. Well, what you're doing is you're addressing the zip code. You're not addressing the families and the individuals from whom the actual extraction happened in the first place. So it needs to be attached to the people that the injury happened to, not the area per se, unless the people that the injury happened to are actually in that area and it's going to them.
You know, because also, Brother Marvin and Pamela, and then I'll get to the other callers in a minute as well. We have to look at reparations always from a historical point of view, because even after slavery ended in 1865, then you had Juneteenth, where the people in the state of Texas didn't really get the kite, in other words. Then there was another date that was put out there with Juneteenth. But let me say this: Jim Crow laws, then you had the Civil Rights Movement, Black Power Movement, then you had the failed war on drugs, right? Then the prison industrial complex. Marvin, I believe that they should kind of tie that into this equation as well, because those all those what I just mentioned, they served as impediments to our people's progress as well, and a lot of our people got caught up during that Jim Crow era, and the civil, like Dr. King did a wonderful job, Malcolm X, Huey P. Newton, Bobby Seals, they did a wonderful job, Angela Davis, I mean some of the leaders from the past, not just the guys, the women as well. So what about incorporating some of that history in the reparations movement? Is that too far-fetched, Marvin?
Yeah, no, not at all. We already have.
Okay.
When we think about slavery, slavery has things that also flow from it called vestiges, right? You have these attitudes, these both de jure legal type of laws that were on the books that descended from the ideas of slavery, and you had these social attitudes that influenced the ability for Black Americans to be able to function in our society. So yeah, we're repairing all of those things, right? We want to look. In our report, we looked at the housing discrimination and redlining. We looked at Jim Crow in the Black codes.
Yes.
We looked at vagrancy laws and how they were impacting Black individuals. We looked at the fact that for you to be able to come into the state of Illinois as a Black free person, any time before like 1865, you have to pay a $1,000 bond, and you can only stay for 10 days.
Okay.
If you were here for longer than 10 days, they would take that $1,000 bond back, which is the equivalent of about $300,000 to come into the state of Illinois. They would take that back, and they could re-enslave you and send you to Gallatin County to work in the salt mines. So that type of economic extraction for black people during that time is what led to the wealthlessness that we see in the community today.
Right. And then I'm going to put a number out there. I'm just talking about a hypothetical number for Illinois. I'm talking about foundational African people in Illinois. Marvin, I'll put a number, let's say $10 to $15 billion. It depends on the numbers of people, the number of people we're talking about providing financial reparations to, at the tune of $350,000 per individual, right? I mean, I'm just putting that out there because a lot of numbers are being floated around on a world level, like $17 trillion. I believe that reparations is reachable for foundational Black people in Illinois, though, Marvin. I really do, because that number is definitely reachable. Because if you talk to some of the corporations, they put in a couple of $1 billion, the state put in a few $1 billion, and we make it, the state budget is what, about $33 billion, Marvin?
More than that.
Yeah, okay, it's more than that. It's like, it's double that, right? About 60 billion or something?
About 50, 52.
Right, there you go, about 52 billion. So we should be able to raise around, let's say if the 15 billion is the price for people in Illinois, let me make that clear. I believe it's reachable. I really do. It just depends on who's leading the charge. And I really appreciate the way you're talking about it now, because I'm getting kind of hyped up and I'm getting motivated about reparations all over again. All right. Pamela, what are your thoughts about what I just said there?
Yeah, so I appreciate all the things that you mentioned. A few things that I would say is, as I've talked about reparation, it is for an unbroken chain of harm. Mm-hmm. So it's not just about slavery, though that is the beginning as far as the United States is concerned, because the United States took over the campaign from Britain, right, and France and Spain, because they were all three over here. But they took over the campaign. We have to realize, too, that with that Jim Crow, as they call it, separate but equal.
Right.
The presiding justice said that the black man has no rights that a white man was subject to respect. And that went on. That way of thinking, where slavery and mistreatment, I should say, was the law of the land, and also the complete exercise of the 13th Amendment's exception clause to slavery, where you were rounded up, you were jailed for nothing, you were tried, you were hanged, and all of that.
For sure.
All of that happened until the Civil Rights Acts of the 1960s. And we would not have needed the Civil Rights Acts of the 1960s if the Civil Rights Acts of the 1860s had been fully carried out, and Reconstruction had been fully carried out.
I studied that history, yes.
Yes, sir. This stuff just ended, right? In the 1960s. You know, people, if you haven't yourself, were born in the 1960s or right after it. So This is recent history. This is recent harm. And there are people alive today who've survived some of the things that Marvin and his group are talking about, be it, forced sterilizations, be it your brother went for a walk to a friend's house and he disappeared and y'all never found him, and all of this kind of stuff. The other thing I would say in terms of your energy and your momentum and your motivation around it is you got to show up for what you want. And if Marvin and his group have done this work, and I presented to the task force as well, if they're doing all this work for you, you got to show up and claim it. He said 50,000. That's what they need, right? At a minimum. There are 1.8 to 1.9 million Black folks in Illinois. So you have the numbers to show up, to claim what it is you've been advocating for. So make sure you tell a friend and bring several of them with you, right, so to speak, in order to show up for this and claim it.
All right, good stuff. So let me get another call on Brother Randy as we keep this conversation going. Good morning, Randy.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Good morning to you, guests. Okay, I want to let you know that I'm a member of UNIA, ACLU, Market Garbage Organization, as well as in Cobra, as well as Operation Push and a few other organizations. I just want to say this. I agree with many points. I agree with many points you made. I also want to just remind you that yesterday was the 14th anniversary of the death of Steve Coakley, one of a great researcher here in Chicago.
I remember Brother Coakley. I remember him, Brandy.
Yeah. So I just want to remember our respect for him, so much respect to Brother Steve Coakley. And so, but I just want to say this. A number of these groups that have popped up and everything, and I'm going to let you know that Robin Rube Simmons, who's a former
out of Evanston, they secured reparations in Evanston.
Yes, Evanston.
I mean, some form of reparations. That's
he was successful in passing reparation legislation and stuff like the city council, and the people there in Evanston, and starting with approximately about 45 people who received between $20,000 and $25,000 each.
Right.
Okay, of reparations. So she was very successful in passing that. And so in Evanston, Illinois, now there are other groups, there are right-wing groups that are attacking her and file lawsuits to counter it. Right, these people connected to Donald Trump, supporters of Trump, and part of the MAGA movement. So I just want to be kind of clear that. Also, we want to be quite clear about in terms of the history and everything like that. In Cobra was with Dr. Hannibal Freak and a number of other brothers and sisters activists here in Chicago, and others all throughout the nation. And back in the late 70s, 1979, were the ones who started to push in the reparations issue, along with the reparations committee, of which Dr. Ivor Carruthers, was Dr. Green, and others were, and also
for sure.
Okay,
and I believe Marvin is actually working on the foundation they built as well, because everybody in the spirit.
But I just want to say this with the FBA's Foundation of Black Americans, as well as the ADOS and others. I just wanted to be quite clear that Robin Walker, the historian who wrote When We Ruled, right? He was doing a podcast and he talked about, he was asked a question about EOS and FBAs and stuff. And he said the groups are very toxic and stuff. Because they're fragmented community. We can work on reparations and do stuff together. The problem is that you have certain groups that are trying to take the whole issue of reparations from in Cobra and other groups have been on this reparations much longer than any of these other groups who just popped up in less than 10, 15 years. So we had to be quite clear about it. There's a certain order, you know what I'm talking about, just like in combat. There's an order of battle, right? OOB, order of battle. So we had to be clear. But I also want to say that Dr. Raymond Winbush put together a booklet called Belinda's Position, as well as a reparation declaration, talking about reparations, as well as a book entitled Should African Americans Receive Reparations, edited by Raymond Woodward. And also, there have been other groups, like I said, that have been involved. And then there have been, like I said, I mentioned Cam Howard, the work that he's doing, right?
Cam's a
as
good
well as
man.
Dr. William Darity. Dr. William Darity's 2 books on reparation, the reparation booklet, the handbook by Dr. William Sandy Darity, right? As well as,
I'm very familiar with Dr. Darity. In fact, I'm a co-author of
just even.
Wait a minute, slow down, brother Randy. So
Sure.
Marvin, you
Sure.
say
Go
you're
ahead,
a co-author.
I'm gonna hold on and so I can gauge like the other people's calls and stuff like that. Sure.
Randy, did you hear what Marvin said?
I'm listening.
He's a co-author of that book you just mentioned.
Okay, you're talking about William Sandy Darity, right?
Yeah, I'm a co-author of Dr. William Darity, though. I have co-authored.
Yes, that's why I know. Yes,
okay,
I mean, and I'm glad, and that's the reason why I mentioned it, because also I think it's important that people need to understand, in terms of the information research that you all have shared and stuff, along with Kirsten Mullins, also, who was also
Brian Mullins, good brother.
Okay. And there was also work with Dr.
Well, you know what I have to say this though.
Darity.
I noticed that Alderman Raymond Lopez and a few Latino aldermen here in Chicago, Marvin, actually began to fight for reparations as well. So I was happy to see that.
But see, the thing about, wait a minute. But see, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry for interrupting you, Brother Tio. I think that you're engaged in this is really good discussion about reparation and sharing information, as well as that team violence thing. I agree with Andre as far as solutions and stuff that he came with some really good solutions.
I got to cut you off now, though, Randy. Okay, and
sure,
I appreciate your call.
The last
okay?
thing is the HR 40, John Conyers.
No, we good. Thank you for the good information.
So keep up the good work.
Right on, Randy. All right.
Thank you. I'll listen to your response.
All right, good. So let me try to take one more quick caller here, Marvin and Pamela, then we can wrap it up a little bit. This hour passes so quick. Chris, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Brother Hardiman and your guest. Great topics. First of all, reparations got to be a multifaceted approach. The fact that the Democrats do talk about it is a plus, but all the case studies, they got to do, more with action. GOP, Republicans, shoot it down. It's not even on their platform. As far as the empowerment zone, those are hustle, man. A lot of foreign buyers buy the property and catch it on the swing when it's coming up, like how they're going to do by the United Center, how they did Bronzeville, how they continue to do. It is a hustle. You got people in Japan buying it up. So how is that a benefit to the community? That's some baloney right there. But
all right,
definitely with the reparation piece, got to be multifaceted. Can't just be money. Got to be tax-based, education-based. This government was part of it also. So, and I appreciate the conversation. Like I said,
it's been a good conversation, without a doubt. And thanks for your call, Chris.
All right. Thank you, brother. Be good.
Appreciate you for sure. And Marvin and Pamela, but I'll go to Marvin here. So once again, what more can we do to get involved with the reparations movement that you're spearheading? Like I say, the website information and what more can be done?
Yeah. We have a public hearing with one of the speakers that my dear brother just brought up. Dr. William Darity is going to be here April the 25th, Saturday, April 25th at the Sabo Museum. From 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., we're going to have a public hearing with Dr. William Darity and A. Kirsten Mullins, Cleola Brown, and Reverend Dr. Jonathan Brooks. We're going to be speaking to the economic and the religious imperative for reparations. And we're also going to be giving some next steps as far as how to, get involved, get engaged, and what the demand is going to look like for you all specifically advocating to your legislators. That's one thing that we're going to need. We're going to need everybody to give them a call, give the governor's office a call, say, we support the issue of reparations and we need you too.
Sounds good to me. I appreciate the governor for appointing you in that particular position, Brother Marvin. I really do. Now, look here. Now, Pamela, what are your closing thoughts about the discussion today?
Real quick, great conversation. Love Marvin's expertise on display, and I appreciated all the calls, and thanks for showcasing it, Tio. Marvin and the last caller made a good point. This was a political decision to invest in the people of Illinois. Be careful who you elect.
Okay, be careful who you elect. And then, Dava, I was going to take your call, but you didn't get a chance to get on, Dava. I'll get you next week. So what's going on right now, So as far as the way I'm looking at it, Pamela and Marvin, if you ever need me, just let me know. Because like I say, my thing is to organize the people around the reparations movement. Because I know for a fact, power does not, people don't respect movement sometimes unless you have that type of people power behind it. Okay. Do you all kind of agree with that fundamentally?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very, very important. And so right now, quickly, I might be able to get this in there. Well, I got about 60 seconds. What about the young people, Marvin? Do you think young people are interested in reparations?
Well, I am a young person.
I know, that's
I'm
right.
the youngest person on the commission.
That's
I'm
right.
Gen Z. So, when people talk about young people not being involved in politics, you have the youngest state chair of a reparations commission that is kind of forming these
Right.
programs and policies based off of the experiences of young people and what they want. One of the things that I'll say about these takeovers really quickly, has anybody talked to the teens to
Right.
ask them what they're trying to get across? I have. And we're framing all of that into some of the policy recommendations that we make.
Thank you. So yeah, we got to sign off now, but I want to thank you all, Marvin, and I plan to invite you both on the show again, and I look forward to having a real strong conversation in the near future, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Brother.
Thanks, everybody, and I appreciate the WVON Facebook people, WVON callers, and everybody in the universe. It's been a blast. Tio Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman. I'm out of here. Peace.